day 2 of seeing Ikura live. This is a pattern that I tend to have for artists, bands, magicians that I really love. I always like to watch them more than once. It's a long story, but it's just a habit I've had since I was really young. So, I went to see Ikura a second time. Same place, a couple of hours earlier, which tends to be a pattern in Japan. And yeah, it was really exciting to be able to see her twice. Even though it's the same show, I tend to pick up more in the second viewing. So, anyway, I woke up. I went back to that place where I tried to get Eggs Benedict the day before, and I was finally able to get a seat, and it was great. It hit the spot, and it satisfied that craving that I had, so that was good. And then, as a double banger, I went around the corner, and there was a Melbourne-themed cafe, which is obviously not New Zealand, but Australia and New Zealand share so much culture that being able to sit there and vibe for, I think it was an hour and a half, there were moments where I felt like I was in Australia or even back in New Zealand, so it was great. It was a great escape. I loved it so much. I just sat by the window looking out at the world and ended up having 2 long blacks rather than one. I wasn't dusty like the day before. The day before, after the concert, I was feeling inspired and I didn't need a drink, so I woke up sober. And I think I was quite rested, so that was all good. Went to the concert. I was just in a daze the whole time. Going to concerts are such a bizarre experience. There's like one experience of going to concerts where you just love and know every word, and maybe you've had a few drinks, so you're just screaming every word, and that's really nice and it's cathartic. But this one was more of just like sitting and vibing and admiring and just being in a daze, I guess. It's weird to be in a concert where you just love the sounds and you don't know the words. I mean, I know some of the words, but my Japanese is not great. So I was just standing there and listening. It reminded me of seeing Yoasobi in Kanazawa the year before. There's a whole story with that, but I'll leave that for another time. There were moments where she would move around the stage and wave around, and I don't know if this is just my crush speaking, but I would swear that there were moments that she would look in my direction and wave, and you just feel like she's waving at you, or I felt like she was waving at me. It's kind of like last year when I was at Summer Sonic. I saw Lisa, the Japanese anime singer. I really like her. I've seen her 7 times now. I saw her at Summer Sonic, and I swear there was a moment where she looked like she was waving at me, and chances are she probably wasn't. For a lot of performers, crowds are just blurs, so it's hard to say convincingly that they're waving deliberately at you, but gosh, it just feels like it. Anyway, I feel like if you're a good live performer, you are a little bit like a good painting. You know those paintings, how they're famous for having eyes that feel like they follow you around the room, like the Mona Lisa in Paris, which, by the way, I went to see a few years ago, and number one, there were too many people, so I couldn't really try it out, but in the space that I was able to walk around, I kind of didn't get what people meant about her eyes following you around the room. Anyway, you know that thing about good paintings with their eyes following you around the room? I feel like a good live performance where it's intimate, you're left as a fan feeling like you've had some kind of personal connection with the artist, whether even if it's just eye contact or a wave for half a second. I feel like a good performer can walk away with having most of their audience feel like they had a personal moment with them. And I think that's awesome, because I definitely walked away feeling like I got a wave or two. Probably not, but you know. Anyway, the concert was great. I went home, and because the night before it took me 3 hours to take the port liner and then take the subway back to Osaka, this time I wanted to avoid it, and I knew there'd be a lot of crowds. So I did something quite radical. I don't usually do this, but it was quite a warm day, and the concert finished at about 6:30ish or 7ish, so there was still some light. It was warm, it was pleasant, very lovely sunset. And so what started off as me just trying to walk to the next train station to avoid the crowds ended up with me kind of walking the whole way back to the main station in Kobe, from which it's one line back to Osaka. And that walk took an hour, but it was very relaxing and very calm. It was a lovely sunset. I stopped to take a lot of pictures and photos. I walked past this really nice park, walked across the bridge, saw the port of Kobe. It was really, really nice, and really relaxing. And apart from the concert, in a quiet way, that walk was, in an understated way, quite stunning, and I really loved it. So I'm going to share some footage I got from that, and I hope you get a sense of how calming and how lovely it was. And then I got to the metro station, and I think it's called Sanomiya in Kobe. I was very tired, and I was very, very shaken, because I don't think I'm used to walking that much. So I got something from the convenience store just to calm my body down, and then I went back, and interestingly enough, I got back in about half the time that I did the day before, which was quite a feat considering I did such a large walk. And then that was it. I was back quite early, but like the night before, I felt no need to drink alcohol, so I just bought a very lovely meal for myself that I knew would make me happy. And if I remember correctly, I bought a non-alcoholic beer, and I just relaxed, packed, threw away things that I didn't need, sat in the spa, tried to get an early night so that I could catch an early bus the next day back to Takayama. And that was my trip to Osaka/Kobe to see Ikura live twice.